This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and the lovely Zoe Lyons. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Morning, girls.
Morning.
Morning.
Hey, greetings to the queue. Think there's anyone listening in the queue?
Oh, possibly.
Can I say, I wish we had a live feed of the queue.
Listen,
I'm obsessed.
If you're in the queue and you're listening to this or whatever, do let us know, because I'd love a queue. When I say the queue, I mean capital T, capital Q.
Yeah.
I'd love to have our own The Q correspondent who's down there.
How nice.
Brilliant.
And let us know if you spot any famous faces.
You never know. But I'll settle for any Q anecdotes, any Q-based anecdotes. I myself, 2 weeks ago, queued to see the relics of Saint Bernadette.
Oh,
So I don't mind a queue.
you know how to live, Frank.
I'm going to call that a
Tell you.
peak you story.
Yes. Well, it's about, it's what your priorities are. And I was happy to queue for that. There was a very nice queuing atmosphere, as I'm sure there is in the queue.
How long was your queue?
Well, it wasn't that long.
Okay.
I queued for half an hour.
Oh, fair enough. Well, that's a commitment.
Yeah. What annoyed me is I saw Phil and Holly going in up front. Laminates on.
They've got form, haven't
Yeah,
they?
not even Catholics.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. Just nosy.
Did you hear the rustling of laminates?
Oh, man. So, I would say I queued for 18 hours to get Rolling Stones tickets in 1972. I hope I never reach a stage of my life where there isn't something worth queuing for. Do you know what I mean?
There is a purity to it, which I imagine appeals to your Catholicism.
I just think, I bet you it's a great old atmosphere in that queue most of the time. I went and had a look. I did my version. I went and had a look at the queue
You see,
the other day.
yeah.
Just to see what a really big queue looks like.
You see, I get queue anxiety.
Do you?
Yeah.
How do you fare in Pret a Manger?
Well, that's
because
the thing.
filter throws havoc.
I just know that if I joined this particular queue, when I got to the front of the queue, I'd realised there was a much shorter queue, just a couple of queue lines along. Very much like in a sort of supermarket scenario where somebody was a lot quicker and more efficient at getting people through the queue. I'd be like, oh, dang you, I should have moved.
Well, I had an incident in the Saint Bernadette relics queue.
You always do.
They're touring at the moment, by the way.
Right.
I think it's mainly thigh bone. There was rumours there could be a kneecap. We don't know for certain. They don't give you the details. But it was. I mean, I went there in all sincerity and prayed at the relics. I'm not trying to pretend it was comedy. But I had a woman in front of me, and this is a problem I have in queues. The ones who were looking around at the rest of the queue and stuff. And ahead of them, people have moved forward, and there's a gap of, say, 20 feet. And I'm thinking, would you just move forward?
Oh, already that set me off. That set me off. A slow mover in front and a fast mover behind. That's absolute queue anxiety.
Guys,
right.
I've got an even worse thing. How do we feel? I mean, I don't have to ask how Frank Skinner feels, so let me rephrase this. Zoe, how do you feel about the queue joiners? Oh, I'm saving my place in the queue.
Oh, yeah, I had one of those. My family are down there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you don't get, to be honest, in the St. Bernadette queue, there's a lot of love and, you know what I mean? There's a lot of kindness going on.
No, but the saving the place.
Saving the place, I'm not on board with that. My wife will do that for people, or we'll spot people in a queue that we know, and then we'll go, should we join them? And I will like,
No.
never. I would rather spend my last days in this queue
Wow. Respect.
than do that.
Respect. You're a formal
I'm
queuer.
a very formal queuer. It's been often said of me, Frank.
One of my queuing...
You're a formal queuer.
One of my distinctive queuing activities, because I refuse firmly to join in with the modern world fascination with luggage on wheels, and I just carry a bag, is I do, when I queue at the airport, I slide it along with my foot along the ground. That's every now and again, like a horrible dragged Frankenstein Igor foot. Oh, man. But I do love a queue. I'll tell you what, if you've got any memorable queue anecdotes, if they're from the queue, that's great. But from any queuing you've done over the years, I've got one actually about the Rolling Stones, which I'll share with you soon.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We've heard from Kate, Frank, who says...
Oh, God, I didn't think we'd get in that high on the queue. Fantastic. What does Kate say?
She says when they open a new till, she's complaining about the concept of queuing. Obviously, when they open a new till and the people at the back get to it first, it drives me insane. They should have a system.
But I have to say, Kate, some people, when they open a new queue, they just look. The person says, do you want to join a new queue? And some people just look and think, oh, I don't know what to do here.
That's
You
me.
know, you have to reward people who just get in that new queue. It's no good being resentful. You had your chance, Kate.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. You're the same, Zoe.
I'm the same.
You don't move across.
I sort of jitter. I jittered again. The queue anxiety. I had a weird thing in a queue recently in Munich airport,
Oh, yeah.
and I was going through.
What was you queuing for? Grolsch?
Yeah, you know me and my sauerkraut addiction.
Take your private jet to get sauerkraut, like Elvis used to do to get deep fried
I'll go
banana
anywhere
and
for a
peanut
bit of
butter
fermented
sandwiches.
cabbage.
So go on, you're in a queue in Munich.
In the airport,
Yeah.
passport control. I've got an Irish passport, so I'm in the EU queue. EU queue with my Dutch fife and our little passports, and then there was a British family in front of us with their British passports, but in the EU queue.
Oh no, out of
And
date.
their eyes were flickering back to. They were kind of going, "Do you think we'll get away with this? I don't know if we'll get away with it, Jeremy. Just don't panic, Jeremy. Just hand it to the gentleman. It's your fault, Maureen. We shouldn't be in this queue." And it was wonderful watching them. They did let them go through in the end, but I
Did
did tap
they?
them on the shoulder and went, "You're in the wrong queue."
Did you? You didn't.
What can I
Wrong
just say?
queue.
I'm so jealous of you having that moment. I dream of moments like that.
You're in the wrong queue.
Well, I went to Legoland.
There you go,
There we
showing
go.
off again.
It's like 22 quid to get in Legoland. And I love Legoland. I'm in Miniland, a work of art. But
Is it 22 quid? Is that a flat rate or is it
I think
children go cheaper?
That's a flat rate. I think Phil and Holly get in for nothing.
Oh my God, the laminates.
But anyway, I on the way out, it said, have your parking ticket ready. And I thought, hold it. So you charge to park. You go to the place and you're charged to park on their car park.
But you have no
Oh,
option.
no, you can't have it that way.
Well, I mean, how are you going to get there?
Yeah.
You're going to bus to Legoland.
It's a
Get a
massive-
fabulous Lego bus from Lego City.
And everyone who drives it has that weird pudding
So-
base and haircut.
And I thought they probably, and I thought they probably won't ask. You know, it'll be fine. But of course, I ended up having to. So yeah, that's horrible when you're in the wrong.
Wrong queue.
When I queued for the Rolling Stones for 18 hours, it rained all night. And we lay on the pavement in New Street, Birmingham, and we played cards. And the cards, do
Extraordinary.
not exaggerate, literally disintegrated in our hands. They literally turned to papier-mâché. We got so wet. And I remember when I got home, I had white pants on and they'd gone black with the dye from my jeans that had run into them. We got so wet. But I got second row Rolling Stones tickets.
I'm not sure I'll ever recover from that story.
No.
Bits of it.
Would you like to briefly hear about Iona Fowles, one of our regulars? My mum and I were very British in the queue at Disneyland Paris, waited to have a photo with Goofy, but unfortunately grown men were jumping ahead of us. He's a popular lad.
He is.
But in the end, Goofy interjected by stopping the queue and gesturing us forward.
Really?
Respect, Goof.
Yeah, because I find Goofy often, if you was to say a fault of Goofy, he's reticent. He lacks confidence.
Well, I'd say it was the dungarees.
The way he's treated by Pete, the next door neighbour, in that Christmas Goofy, you know what I mean? But I like to hear a bit of He's probably read one of those self-assertiveness books at last. Respect to Goofy.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We haven't heard from anyone in the queue, have we? I'd
Well,
love to have
yet.
someone.
I
out
don't
there
know.
in
Do
the
you
queue.
think that they are in the queue?
Are they allowed to listen to the radio in the queue?
They're allowed to do what they like.
No, they aren't.
except
They are not. There's queue rules.
There's one thing they're not allowed to do. We know what that is.
What's that?
I think we know already. Some have done it.
Podging in. So we used to call it at school.
What did you call it?
You're
Pudging?
podging in.
Podging in.
Podging, yes. I don't know why we called it that, but we did.
I noticed in the queue they did have that sort of crocodile system, the old you doubling back on yourself.
Yes.
Again, that sets me off because
The trouble is, there's a lot of eye contact in
yeah,
those ones.
there's a lot of the same people over and over, and then inevitably one of the little gate bits will pop open, creating a sudden
Oh, yeah.
vortex into an earlier part of the queue.
Oh, no.
And that's when I just lose it. I lose it then. 'Cause I'm like, somebody's going to go. It's going to go. They're going to go like Mercury. And if one person goes, they've all gone.
I get the feeling that this queue's pretty well behaved.
Do you?
I'm putting it
you
second
say that.
only behind the St Bernadette queue as far as etiquette is concerned. Carry on.
You say that, but currently trending on Twitter in the United Kingdom is hashtag queue jumping. So what does that
Can I make a
say?
confession?
Go on.
You know what I told you? I
You do
queued-
every week.
I queued. I do actually. I queued for 18 hours for the Stones, as I said. But I also went with a mate to see T-Rex to get tickets for T-Rex at Birmingham Odeon. And when we got there, we didn't realise how big T-Rex was. An enormous, enormous queue. And they were letting people in 20 at a time. And we just walked in with the 20. And we jumped about 15 hours a queue. I mean, it was a bad thing to do. But, you know, times were different then. Morality was a bit more fuzzy.
Frank,
be
I
honest.
queued for Nick Hayward. Remember him?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Haircut 100. Fantastic day.
How long did you...
It was, well, unfortunately, it was when he'd gone solo, I think, just as Nick.
Oh,
A confident move.
yeah.
Just paired it right
Just go
down.
for the Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he called just Nick?
Oh, I don't know if we just called it. I think he was sort of
He can't
marketed.
have just called himself Nick. It's
But you
not, it's
say
not a
that.
distinctive enough name.
Well, nor was Steve, who won the X Factor, but didn't bother him.
Okay, did he actually do
Steve
that?
Brookstein. It was like, ladies and gentlemen, the winner is Steve.
Yeah, but that's just that...
It literally said that.
No, but that guy with the deep voice used to do that. And now, Andrew! And you think, no, don't just say a name. Who are they?
I know, but you'd think Steve could have made an effort to change it. It's just Steve.
Steve is not. It's not a Madonna of a
It
name,
was in
is
big
it?
No.
neon lights, and it was so disappointing.
There is a channel called Dave on the telly. I mean, it's all in the same thing. You've got to have a distinctive name.
So Hayward, Frank, I queued. My parents were queuing at the Hayward Gallery. I was at Nick Hayward, you know,
That's it. You have to rebel.
and I would say probably queued for a good few hours for Nick.
Oh.
Yeah, Nick
it worth
underscore
it?
full stop. Nah.
Okay.
No, it was actually. He's very. I really like Nick. Frank likes Haircut 100.
I have to say, and don't take this the wrong way,
Please
I
do.
am amazed that you didn't have a contact in the Phil and Holly mode that could have got you up front in that queue. In fact, not even needed to queue at all.
Didn't you just flash your laminate? That's how I jumped.
No, not at that age.
No.
And do you know what? I think my parents thought things like that were character building. They were the sort of irritating types that if you stole something, they would make you take it back to the shop and apologise to the person.
Quite right. Well, I remember when I first used to do the Comedy Store, I used to queue with the punters waiting to go in because I just couldn't face walking, breezing
done
past
that.
them into the... Oh, we're so lovely, Zoe. Oh, we're lovely.
Got low self-esteem.
I know it's low self-esteem, but we come over as so lovely, and that's important.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So,
Ultra Magnus, guys, has been in touch.
Oh, yeah?
Old Mama... I'll start again. Old Mama Magnus. Why am I struggling to say that? You say it.
Omar Madness.
It's quite weird to say. No, Old Ma Magnus.
Yes.
Queued yesterday up at 4 a.m. to join it for 6:55 a.m. to see HM at 7:10 p.m.
Very good work.
Home at 9 p.m.
Oh, that's quite a day. But that's something she'll talk about the rest of her life. That's my view on it.
I suspect she will.
I'll tell you what I would queue. I'd queue to see the new king sign an official document.
With a bic.
Well, because one of the highlights of the week, and obviously it's been a difficult week for the country in many ways, but the king, I'm calling him the king because there's this thing of king, calling him King Charles. Oh, that king. You know what I mean? It's, you can just call him the king. Also, I heard on Absolute News, they said, King Charles's car is and I thought, I don't like Charles's. Do you?
Charles's.
What do you think?
Charles's. Yeah,
too many S's,
yeah, it's like a hive, some sort of beehive at the
There
end.
is something strange, though, if the previous person with your job title was Charles II.
I know,
mean,
it
it's
looks quite different. Looks quite different. But yeah, he was. I'm just calling him the king. I mean, get used to it.
But did you quite like it? It almost felt like I was in some sort of 1840. It was like, God save the king! God save the king!
Yeah,
I
but you
liked
know
it.
what? I think we've established on this show I'm a bit of a git. And it's good for me to have people in high places, so I think, I get that. And I was watching the first signing of documents when he became king, and I can't really do it on the radio because a lot of it was gestures, but I don't have a silly little tiny table for two massive documents and an inkwell and some pens. So he was just get this. I thought he was going to throw it at the bloke. And I know that look from an assistant when they look at you blankly like that. And you're thinking, it was such a case of one job. You got one job. Just give me enough space to sign this. Anyway, the other day in Northern Ireland, best of all, he's given a pen, the king, that leaks. Oh, man. And he says, oh, God, I hate this. and then he says, forgive this, it's a quotation of the king, so it's all right. I can't bear this bloody thing. And there's ink all over his things. And the best of all, for me, I'd like this on a T-shirt. Every stinking time. Oh, man. Rage.
Yeah.
But what's the aides doing? One pen required to sign your name, and it's leaking.
Every stinking time is your absolute.
Every stinking time.
You go away.
You shouldn't use the
They gotta
Sharpie.
they got to be sacked, those people.
But it's difficult. It's a problem because obviously we know my mother had a rule: no biros. You won't have biros.
Oh, your mum too.
Oh, she hated biros. She would never, ever, ever sign your name with a biro. She thought it was rude.
Just quills.
We weren't allowed. We had to have. So we always had pens in the house. She just thought if you're when you're signing books to friends and things.
Absolutely. I mean, when I'm
yeah.
not here, I'm sat at the front of my own queue of people waiting for me to sign.
No, I
my
mean when you're giving someone a book.
No,
saying,
fair enough.
To Zoe, I thought an inscription. She thought that, so it's things like that. You have to have a fountain pen for that. But it is a messy business.
I know, but it's the king signing an official document. Check the pen out. Have a look at it. Don't just stand around.
Do you still got those little cartridges in a fountain pen?
You can
No,
do
we don't
that,
use
or
cartridges,
you
Zoe.
can sock it straight out the jar. There's an option.
There's a lot
if
to
you've got
go
one of
wrong
those little
there.
plungers, well,
Did Quink make anything else other than that? Because they were quite. Do you remember Quink?
of course, yeah.
But that was all they made.
Yeah.
That's enough, isn't it? Ink. I mean, it's fairly well
Imagine them
used.
sitting around going, this will never run out. It'll always be popular.
Honestly, they might as well have given him a baby squid for what they gave him. Ink all over the place. Every stinking time.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about, what a week. I'll tell you what, though. We were talking about Phil and Holly getting in privileged into the front of the queue. I should have been on the telly tonight on Blankety Blank, and I've been shoved for Paddington, which goes to show it's not what you know in this business, it's who you know. Paddington at the moment, of course, untouchable, but
Yes.
every Every dog has his day. I'll be back.
Well, you better go and buy some clothes. Can't keep trotting out that duffel coat.
No, I know. The money he's making for old Mark Clarkson.
Where you were supposed
know
to be
that?
sitting,
Do you
would
know
there
about
be just a
Mark
blankety
Clarkson?
blank?
No, there'll be Paddington in all 8 chairs.
Oh,
With the,
And hosting. Mrs. Jeremy Clarkson's mom, I believe, owns the copyright for the Paddington dolls. I think that's right.
oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. We can check
we
it.
love a celebrity link like that because off air, Frank asked a question, and I love it when I know the answer. What was the question, Frank?
I can't remember.
Okay.
We were off air.
Let me remind you. You said which celebrity's mother invented Tipp-Ex?
Yes.
And it was?
It was Mike Nesmith of the Monkees, formerly known as Woolhat, and who had a single which it's one of my earworms. I still sing perhaps 3 times a week, which is a song called Rio. I'm going to fly down to Rio, which I just find I can't get it out of my head.
Well, so I decided to have a crush on him because everyone fancied Davey and Mickey, and it was I'll fancy the drummer because then I won't have to compete with everyone else.
No, that was Mickey Dolenz, the drummer.
I'm
Mike
saying
Nesmith
Mickey and Davey everyone fancied, and I chose Mike.
Okay,
You
I
see?
see. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Mickey is suing someone for something interesting at the moment. I can't remember what it is.
We've had some other outside work.
What's Mickey Dolenz? What's his current legal action?
We've had some other
8,
outside
12,
world.
15. Sorry.
Stephen Vadgama. Frank, do you think the king was afraid of getting ink poisoning? Like we were all told we would get when we were kids if we wrote on our hands or licked the ink on our hands.
Yeah, or chewed the pen.
Has anyone ever died of ink poisoning?
Is that a thing? I didn't lick a pencil because of lead poisoning.
No, I think you have to be a tradesman to officially lick a pencil.
Keep it behind your ear. Have a little notebook, and one of those little pencils as well, not a full-grown pencil.
The other day, I was out. And I realised I'd got a pencil behind my ear from earlier, which I'd just forgotten about. I just put my hand and I thought, oh! And I got the pen. People must have thought, who does he think he is walking around with a pencil? It's quite a long pencil as well.
Oh, no, you can't do it with a long pencil. It's got to be it's got half a pencil.
Where was it? Where was the nib?
The nib?
Yeah. Where was the end of it? The pointy bit?
Pointing forward.
Pointy have to go forward, yeah.
There's no other option.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to offend the other people in the St.
Don't go
Bernadette
nib
queue.
backwards. Never go nib backwards.
No, that wouldn't be aerodynamic if you're pushing rubber
I don't know
forward.
where you put your pencils. I've not done this before.
No, I can.
Nib forward, rubber back.
Have you ever done? I'll remember that.
No rubber at the front.
Oh, Frank.
That's what we say in our church.
Oh, stop it, Frank.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
And this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Zoe Lyons. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. I just saw footage of David Beckham in the queue on the telly. No footage of me in the St. Bernadette queue,
No.
I noticed.
No. Somewhere, you'll be on a CCTV camera somewhere.
Yeah, it's not the same, is it?
Just kicking your bag forward.
Not the same. Also, I just saw the king in full uniform. I bet they get the pens right when he's got the sword on.
I bet they do.
Get the pens right today. He's wearing the sword.
You don't want any leaking.
Imagine if the sword right. Who use this pen?
Every stinking time.
That'd be great.
Frank, we've heard from our wonderful readers.
Did I tell you when I met Prince Charles? By the way, when he was Prince Charles.
No, but I insist you do.
I met him a few times, but I actually went to Clarence House. For a King James Bible anniversary event where he dished out the Bibles. I still got that. Anyway,
Did he sign it?
he said to me, I think he has signed it. But anyway, he said to me, the pen was all over them.
Yeah.
Now, he said, are you on YouTube? I said, well, I am on there, but I haven't put my... He said, oh, I've got my own channel now just this week. And he said, I was reading some of the comments. And I said...
Oh, don't do that.
I said exactly what I said. Really, don't read the comments. And he said, well, I said, no, honestly. And this is, I always thought I only said this because he was a prince. I said, I beseech you. Do not read. When I said it, I thought, what am I saying? Beseech.
That's fabulous.
At least you avoided saying thee.
But whatever you think of the royal family, just human being to human being, I did not want him to look at the comments on his YouTube, because you can imagine some of the horrors
You
that would
don't
be
want
on
to
it.
be reading what Wyoming 64 has to say.
No.
Nobody does.
No good will come of it.
But he said, maybe I'll get my assistant to vet them. So I said, I think that's
a very good
really,
idea.
really... Obviously, we've now established his assistants are basically rubbish. But even so.
But hard to sort of imagine Prince Charles as he was, sort of sitting there, flicking through his iPad, looking at the comments, and people are like, how dare they?
No, but he'd be upset, wouldn't he? It'd be horrible stuff. I remember on the way in, I looked at my phone, and you know when you're offered Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and it said it was something like Majesty 121 or
brilliant.
something like that came up. I was on his got offered his Wi-Fi.
I'd love it if he had a humorous, slightly cheeky... You know when people give Wi-Fi silly names?
Yeah.
I always lose about 12% respect for my neighbours when I see that.
Yeah.
Like there was one...
12%, a whole 12%.
It is about 12, because it just takes the edge off. It's like things like two gals and a guy, Wi-Fi, and I think, oh no, come on, just call it something sensible.
I think I had a neighbour their password was, or their name was, their Wi-Fi was Hillary Clinton's private server, which always made me laugh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they'd gone the extra mile.
We've heard from the outside world, Frank. Can I briefly share this with you? We have more incoming. 597, Simon of Sudbury, one of our regulars, as you know. In a former life at boarding school, my friend Donal, Sir McIntyre, suddenly swung round from his desk in front of me, grabbed my royal blue Quink ink and drank it. I asked why. He said from his newly painted blue mouth, chin and neck, that he was thirsty. He suffered no ill effects. That's Simon of Sudbury.
Wow.
I bet he left his mark on various places after that.
Well,
Lovely.
I don't even want to think
Every
about
stinking time.
it. Yeah.
It's good that he suffered no ill effects.
Is Quink which that was like most people's ink of choice, Quink. Does it now have to be called Kink?
Lovely.
Oh, interesting thought.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Did I tell you I saw the queue? I went and had a look at it. I mean, just seeing that many people.
Did you go? Oh, that's interesting. So there's queues to look at the queue.
Well, I happened to be nearby, and I had a really good vantage point of the queue. It's great seeing that many people disappearing
into the distance.
Yeah, it is. And not a toilet roll in sight.
That's where that again. Oh, now you've triggered me again.
Oh, no, don't go.
What do you do? What do you do?
Actually, that was the last time I properly queued. It was petrol, obviously.
Yeah.
Ovs.
Well, petrol toilet rolls, they've been the big queues of... I was once in a minicab on my way into the radio show once, going down Regent Street. And we passed Nike Town, is it called? Mm-hmm. And there was young men queuing. And obviously I was on my way here, so it was like probably 6:30 in the 6:45 in the morning. And there was young men who'd clearly been queuing overnight outside the shop. And I'd been talking to... the woman was Latvian, the driver of the car. And we'd been talking about... She sang in a Latvian choir. And she said, I'm going to do the voice. I think it's all right. What are those young men doing? I said they're queuing because the new trainers come in and they want to be first to get the new trainers that arrive. She made no comment. And then about probably 40 seconds later, she said, in Latvia, I have queued for cheese. And I just said nothing. I just let it be. I thought, I can't think of anything to say that might not be the wrong thing.
Yeah, is it new release cheese?
Yeah.
Latest,
New cheese just dropped.
Was it
New camembert drop.
Oh, man, an organised queue.
Jordan Camembert. The new Jordan Camembert. There you go.
Now, we were just talking about nails.
Yes.
Because our producer is a bit of a nails woman. Always
She's
has
got
nice
fabulous nails.
Our producer, by the way, Sarah, got engaged to her boyfriend Matt recently. Congratulations to her. It was really lovely, warm-hearted news to get. And she sent a great photo, which she won't let me put on social media, which is her just sort of casually holding her hand so that the ring is in full
Glinting
focus.
in the
But
light.
just, oh no, my hand just happens to be at the side of my face.
And can I say, what a manicure.
Congratulations to Sarah and Matt. But we were talking about nails, and there's this thing now is that women have their nails done, maybe men do as well. As you know, I think gender is merely a bourgeois construct. But they have like the endings a different colour. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, do you call that a French manicure?
Well done,
Oh,
Zoe.
thank
but
you.
I was
That's
talking.
what I do.
I was talking
Yes.
to a friend recently who'd got them done red
Oh,
on
hello.
the end.
Yeah.
And she said, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "You look like you've been buried alive."
Yeah, let's claw your way
I've had
out.
some
That's a nice compliment, Frank. How did she take that?
Well, I stuck it, in a typical sort of, a bit like Camilla look when Charles was going on about the pen. In like, all right.
I've never had a manicure.
Have you not?
Never had a manicure.
Oh,
Or a
I'll treat you
pedicure.
one day.
No, it's embarrassing. I've got...
What's embarrassing?
No, I've got really stubby little feet. No, I don't like it. No, they shouldn't be embellished.
I'm just so relieved that
I would rather-
Icua was on the end of that sentence.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We've heard from our external correspondents, our readers. We have an answer from Ultra Magnus, as you know, one of our regulars, to the... Remember you asked a question regarding Mickey Delens?
Mickey Dolan's, I'm sure.
I
is
gave
it-
him a French intonation.
Delens.
You might be right. I always called him Dolens in the old days.
No, you're right, because it's Ralph Lauren. People often say Ralph Lauren, but it's an American.
But
name.
in the old days, though, we didn't really worry about foreign pronunciations. So when I talked about Saint Bernadette, she would have been of Lourdes in the old days,
Yeah.
not sort of Lourdes or whatever we're going to call.
Lourdes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. My nanny used to go to Lourdes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what she used to
I
call
think
it.
I'm slightly
Lourdes.
put off by my mum saying Lourdes.
Well, I've been to Lourdes and I still don't know how to pronounce it.
We'd say Lords.
I've been to Lourdes
Lourdes.
as well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some news just in.
Okay.
On-
Don't call me Justin. Told you about that.
But let's get back to Ultra Magnus.
Yes.
Because he has intel on Mickey from the Monkeys.
Okay.
If 3am want to pick this up, by the way, some hot monkey news. He says, I believe Mickey is suing the FBI for access to the file they have on the band.
Oh, yes. That's what I
What
remember.
could possibly be of interest
On
in
the
that
monkeys.
file?
They thought the monkeys were sort of symbolic of an alternative society and could corrupt youth.
Wow. You've got
The
to love
monkeys.
America, haven't you? The monkeys.
No,
The
you're
monkeys.
all right.
I believe Mickey Dolenz was some part of the creative team behind the Metal Mickey TV show. Do you remember Metal Mickey? About a
yeah.
lovable robot.
Was I really
Did he have
handled?
wiry hair? Or
well,
am I
remember
thinking of
it
the
was-
Smash robot?
Yes, you're thinking of the
Oh.
Smash. Metal Mickey was...
The
he
theme
was a much
tune
more-
was It's Metal Mickey. He's a lot of fun.
Is he? He was
Yeah.
rather irritating, I seem to recall.
Oh, we'll see. Well, anyway, I think he was also in the sort of maybe even 50s TV show Circus Boy. I think Mickey Dolan starred in that.
I don't like the sound of circus boy.
Yeah, circus boy
It's
was
a bit
great.
problematic, circus boy.
Always atop an elephant.
What was his... I mean, was it
We
just
didn't know then.
What was his turn?
Yeah, what was the...
I think he helped out.
All right.
What was the narrative arc of Circus Boy?
Well, it's a long time ago, but as I recall, it was the days when people ran away to join the circus. I think he was part of the circus family. Like the Flying Graysons, where Robin began his work.
Robin and Larry.
Robin and, as in Batman.
Oh, right, yeah.
That Robin.
Right. Oh, that
Robin and Larry, whoho's that?
Larry Grayson. I got
Who's
confused.
Robin?
Oh, I've mixed up my genres. Sorry.
Hang on.
Who was Robin
No,
then?
who was Robin and Larry?
I don't know. Didn't you say Robin Grayson?
No, Dick Grayson was Robin.
Oh, right. That's
No.
where I've got confused. And
Oh,
then
no,
Larry
no, we've got Larry Grayson as-
Larry
as-
Grayson was Batman.
You know, I don't like this soup. Okay? You can't have Robin in with Larry Grayson and Dick Grayson.
No, sorry, he got all very confused. Let's just relax. Okay. Where were we? Where did this even emanate from?
Well, we were talking... Don't ask me questions like that. Right?
Okay,
I can't go
sorry.
that far back. But
Okay.
I will tell you quickly that the bald barber in Weymouth says, "Hi, Frank, we're off to London tomorrow after numerous trips to Legoland, a.k.a. Q-Land. We are professional Q specialists, so it's no problem."
Okay. So he's going to Legoland.
I like a PQS.
£16 to park nearby and £8 standard
Yeah.
parking. That's all I'm saying there, Baldy Barber. What's he called, Baldy Barber?
Baldy, you've added that.
What's he called?
Other insulting element on the end. It's Bald Barber.
Oh, sorry.
The Bald Barber.
Sorry, I thought
and
he had
you
a-
called him Baldy Barber.
No, I called him Bald E. Barber. Like,
Used all his initials.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there must have been Bald Eric Barber. Oh, God, I've upset the old... where's he from, Bournemouth?
No, Weymouth.
Just leave it, Frank.
Oh, man.
Baldy was
Digging a
Baldy Barber.
Maybe there is a Baldy Barber in Bournemouth. That you only moved there for the alliteration.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Can I just say, by way of a plug, I've been watching on Sky Arts Guy Garvey's something from the vault or something.
yeah.
And it's archive of popular music, so it's got things like on-scene footage of Kate Bush's first tour, an amazing Russell Harty interviewing David Bowie.
What? Wow.
It would Russell
Yeah.
Harty saying, "No, you're sort of spiritual. Would you believe in God? Do you pray?" And he said, "Yes, I wouldn't enter into that for a 20-minute interview." I thought, wow, brilliant stuff. Now, it's great. If you like popular music, and I'm assuming if you listen to this, you do, Guy Garvey's Vault. My only problem with it is the picture of Guy Garvey that they use on the titles and that. Guy Garvey, for some reason, has decided that he has to look a bit, don't mess with me. And I think, Guy, relax, mate.
Yeah, I always think of cardigans when I think of Guy Garvey.
Oh, I tell you what I think. We should... So I'm talking about the elbow.
The elbow
lead
singer, yeah.
Tell you what I think of, though. A sort of a black shirt, maybe sleeves rolled up, a little bit of perspiration.
Well, look,
No judgment.
Gentle perspiration.
But he's really good on this. He's really good on this show.
He's a right
You don't
man.
need the aggressive publicity, sure.
No.
Smile. Have a smile, Guy.
I know the trap he's fallen into there because occasionally I have publicity shots, and I think if you've had your makeup done, there's a light on you, your ego can just go away. And I'm like, right, I'm going to make this my
Moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
there's
gonna be
more.
my-
There's more to me than meets the eye.
There's more. There is more to this woman.
Yeah,
than just-
I'm afraid I do the
Yeah.
big wide eyes. Ta-da! I still do that.
Yes,
Do
I
you?
know you do the wide
I used to
eyes.
do it just to look like I was, full of energy and funny, and now I do it as some sort of
Stay
proof
away.
of life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it smooths out the wrinkles quite a bit if you really do like a big open eyes and open
Well,
mouth.
you know my godmother taught me.
Ah, yes.
What was that?
Do you know who Emily's godmother was, Zoe?
Who was your godmother?
She was a 70s pop star.
I'll give you a clue.
She'll be before Zoe's time.
Won't somebody dance with me?
It's pre-Zoe's era. She's slightly too up before your time, I think. She was called Lindsay DePaul. She had a little beauty spot here. She's a very
Oh, right.
glamorous woman.
Yeah.
And she taught me, she said, Emmy, when you get your photo taken, always put your tongue behind your teeth.
Why?
So I've always done it.
Hang on. I'm going to... Hang on.
It lifts your chin.
Oh, does it? Oh, game changer!
You see, I like having my I like my tongue slightly lolling out to one side. That's all right.
Because I've reached that point where in photographs I can look a little bit like a Shar-Pei. You know,
what?
the foldy dog.
Shar-Pei.
Yeah, the dog with the folds.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And it's a little bit, I'm going to say, turkey neck?
Well,
A little bit turkey neck.
I saw happily a home video, not anything for public consumption, of me on the heath, and I had a wind-affected throat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
So that's a game changer.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, isn't this lovely? Just briefly, 400 has texted us, 400. Can I just say I'm 30 years old and I've always had a small crush on Frank. I don't even know where it began or when I first knew of him. But I love listening every Saturday. Now, I don't normally read praise, but the reason I'm reading that is we could all do with a little lift. And I thought it'd be nice for you to hear that someone's got a crush on you.
I liked the slight disclaimer on the crush, in that it described as small.
A small crush. More of a sort of squeeze.
Yeah.
A gentle squeeze.
I mean, I feel safer for it being small, but also...
Zoe, I also liked that she felt the need to slightly undercut it by saying, I don't even know where it began.
No, I
As if
thought-
people would be saying why.
I also thought she could have quite happily put obviously before small. But anyway...
We've trip-advised
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah. It's like when people say to you, oh, you're my weird crush. You're like, oh, it's
Yeah,
not
you know who
weird.
said that? I saw an interview when I was someone's would but shouldn't. And who was that person? Sue Pollard.
Oh!
She was a very good family friend of ours, thank you.
Oh, well, okay, but I mean, surely me and Sue are in a similar position on the league table. She doesn't have, you know, you don't have to slum it, Sue, to... Anyway, I did this morning, before it was spoilt by privilege, and she came on in full pantomime, you know, the principal boy.
Yeah, regalia.
All that, legs out and all that. I said, that's an amazing outfit. And she said, oh, I know you're men, and then I can't say the next word, your compass. And I thought, I've never been so insulted in all my life by Sue Pollard. Oh, Miss Cathcart. Anyway.
Frank, you know that how I knew it? She married my Uncle Peter, who is...
She married a policeman, didn't she?
No, she was married to my Uncle Peter. It was called my Uncle Peter because he used to be the partner of my Uncle John. It was that sort of family friend uncle. So
okay.
Uncle John was my godfather. He was married to... not married in those days, obviously, but they would live together, him and Uncle Peter. And then they split up. And my parents said Uncle Peter and Uncle John are splitting up and Uncle Peter is marrying Sue Pollard.
Wow, that was very much against
I mean, we all
the
had that
time.
as our childhood conversation.
Yeah, well, he robbed Peter to pay Pollard.
Oh, Heidi hi.
So listen, me and I watched a bit of Heidi. I watched it because, you know, my
Does it stand up?
my partner had two crushes as a child, Richard Bryars and Ruth Maddock. And I watched it, and Ruth Maddock I thought she was
Something for
stunning.
both of you.
Stunning.
She had a
Richard
great...
Price and Ruth Maddock. What sort of...
She had a great pair of pins.
Well,
Did
of course,
she?
yeah, it's all white shorts in the at Maplin's.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I was just about to tell you a story, and the producer's done that thing. She pinches that fleshy bit just under the back of the
Oh,
armpit.
yeah.
Which
My mum
means
does that.
shut up now. Yes, apparently Don Reevy used to practice that on corners in training.
I was very briefly a front row member of the York University women's rugby team, and I wasn't a natural prop, so to get out of a scrum situation, I would just pinch the girl's underarm in the row in front of me. Yeah.
Every week Zoe's on, there's some sort of revelation.
I would say it's every stinking time.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Zoe Lyons. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Now, first of all, we're eating a lovely cake which was cooked by Faye, the assistant producer, who was quite a baker.
That was an exceptional piece
Fabulous
of
Quite a baker. We're all very angry here that we think she's been kept out of the Great British Bake Off because she works in the media.
Yeah.
That's what we think.
Her unfair advantage.
I mean, ridiculous. That's like when I once got a letter from Reader's Digest with a man saying, I've worked for Reader's Digest for 20 years. I would love to be part of their prize draw, but I'm not allowed because I work for Reader's Digest. He said, so when us non-eligibles hear about people who've been contacted and haven't bothered replying, we're shocked. And I thought, don't make me feel bad about not joining the stupid Reader's Digest draw. Shut up. What am I going to win? A Basildon Bond writing pad?
Oh, lovely.
Actually, I wouldn't mind one of those.
That's quite good
that's
quality.
a bad choice because I like
Do you remember
stationery.
that was the height of chic, wasn't it? The Basildon Bond.
Well, look, as I've said on this show many times, I love stationery. And this morning, and like every day is a school day, I didn't know until Faye the Baker. Faye the Baker announced there was such a thing as a mouse for Tipex. A Tipex mouse.
Yeah, it's not a mouse for Tipex. It is a Tipex mouse,
Yeah,
which
mouse.
is slightly different.
I didn't know either because when Frank and I were using Tipex, we had to get out some Gauguin paintbrush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot.
Exactly. And you've got that thick Tipex around the edge
And
of
it
that.
turned into a sort of chimney. It looked like a sort of like awful chimney sweep.
When I had my manual in those days, my manual typewriter, I favoured the XXXX straight through it and
My
just leave
father
the
did that.
crossings
It's
out.
very Norman Mailer.
Yes.
I like that.
Norman Mailer, of course, the most masculine man who ever lived. When
Yeah,
he
I'm okay with that.
went to cover the Ali George Foreman fight, he was on something like the 10th floor of his hotel, and that was where his room was. He went out onto the balcony and looked at the narrow wall on the edge of the balcony, and he said, I knew that before I left I would have to walk. I'd have to tightrope across that just to prove that I could do it. And he does it. Now that's
It's nuts.
that's when testosterone
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah.
But he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never looked at a narrow wall and thought I'm going to have to tightrope to cross
On the 10th
that.
floor.
On the 10th floor.
I've never
No.
thought that either.
No.
If you was with Mailey, you'd be forced to do it
I-
with him. Oh,
That's why we
imagine.
stopped hanging out.
Yes.
It's just got too much of a liability.
Also, the letters
was a
all
high
the time.
maintenance friend, I
Sending me
think.
3 letters a day.
3.
That's how he got his name, apparently. Anyway, what were you...
I just want to share
We've got
this
a bit
with
of
you.
Q news, haven't we?
I just want to share this with you yet.
The Q, capital T, capital Q.
This is from Rob C. Wynn.
Okay.
I don't know if that's any connection to... I don't know, it's child of Rabsy Nesbitt.
Oh,
They
okay.
decided to play around with it.
String vest, you're imagining?
Yeah, loved it.
I'm always imagining string vest. From Bidford-on-Avon. While I'm doing this, can you please think about who sits in the string vest chair currently?
Ooh.
I will, but I'd also like you to focus on
Linda
this.
Lusardi that springs to mind.
No, I think it's still Rabsy Nesbitt.
You know why? It might be,
If anyone's got any other
Do
string vest,
could you still go out and buy a string vest now?
do we?
Oh, why are you
mean-
asking me?
Well, you had a weighted T-shirt the other week.
I just feel you know more about t-shirt.
Yeah, I can see you at pride.
In a string vest.
In a string vest
Yeah.
with some sort of,
With some sort of
statement brassiere.
fluorescent necklaces.
Sorry, can I make it absolutely clear? I didn't say Zoe in the sense that you look like you'd wear a string vest.
It felt a little bit like that.
No, I thought that's exactly what happened.
I did not, Frank. I didn't mean it. I just felt as the fellow female in the room, I wanted some help.
Would you go commando under a string vest, or would you?
No,
have
not
to
if you're
double
a
layer
lady.
Up? You'd have to layer up, wouldn't you? Otherwise, that would.
But I'm thinking of other gentlemen.
If I went commando under a string vest, you know when you see
I
string...
don't want to finish the sentence.
You know when you see string beans under netting?
Yeah.
It would look like that.
Commando under a string vest would be like feeding a gerbil through a cage, wouldn't it? You'd just get the little pink noses popping out.
I think
They used to be very thick, the string on the vest. It was rope.
commando under a string vest sounds like a very bad guess on catchphrase.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now we've gone further into string vest territory in the break.
Well, I think I can't really let this go, Frank. You said off air at
Yeah.
one point, you were saying, well, my dad and I, we both wore string vests, and
Yeah.
then, we just wore them for sort of functional reasons, and then
Yes.
string vests, sexy people started wearing them.
That's right.
Sexy people started wearing string vests. I'd like to do a couple of minutes on sexy people.
Well, I don't think... obviously, I love my father and I love me, but I don't put us in the sexy people category.
Oh.
But I think, as Zoe Lyons pointed out, Bananarama.
Yeah.
And which I don't know... I mean, we haven't checked this, but I reckon it's a pretty good call.
You wouldn't call it a string vest. It would have been a teabag top.
I haven't heard of that. I thought it was something very
Teabag.
different.
No, I think that's a smaller hole, isn't it? That's like...
Well, it's more of a perforation.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
Airtex.
yeah, but it was based on the string vest.
But
I
I'm
think.
on about a full-on thick string vest.
I'll tell you what I'm thinking. When
But
I think of
coloured,
string
but-
vest, I'm thinking of Eddie Yates in Coronation Street.
Yes, but I'm thinking sort of Kate Moss in maybe a
I
lemon
bet you are.
string
A lemon
vest.
string vest
I'm
with a
thinking of the
sweatband.
sexy people. There
Yeah.
you
The
go.
sexy people, you got to put Kate Moss in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Frank when the
Advertising Coke now, I notice, on big posters.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Can we briefly discuss, if you remember, Zoe?
Yes.
I sort of trailed Rob C. Wynne's from Bidford-on-Avon's
Oh, yes.
communique with us.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Unlike the great Magnus, I didn't finish.
No.
So, I will. I was in a supermarket queue in Lisbon. A
I
Portuguese...
like it so
Yeah,
far.
it's lovely.
Well,
I love the first line of a first phrase or line of an anecdote. Can
I'm already
really,
thinking natter cakes.
Yeah, but I just think that's a great. What was it again? Just give us that again.
I was in a supermarket queue in Lisbon.
I love that.
Yeah.
One of my favourites. I had lunch with Sir Alan Sugar, and he said to me, I remember.
People ask me why I'm friends with him. That is the reason.
And he said to me, I remember when I signed Jurgen Klinsmann for Tottenham on my yacht in Monaco. That was the opening line of the anecdote. What? Fantastic.
Well, wait till you hear. I omitted to even tell you the subject line. I saved that up for you of Rob C. Wynne's mail.
Go on.
Git family in a queue.
No, this is sounding good.
Yeah.
Get family.
A whole family of them.
Oh, man.
From generation to
Here's
generation.
boy Leroy.
Get kids.
Oh, the kids.
Okay, let's hear them.
I love a Git baby. I was in a supermarket queue in Lisbon. A Portuguese man behind me told me he was in a rush. He was with a pram and had one item in his hand. No problem, I said. He moved in front of me and proceeded to take many store items from the bottom part of the pram
Oh, smuggling.
and put them on to the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
His partner then joined with more store items from a basket to add. It was a Machiavellian queuing ruse they most probably did every time they shopped. every stinking time.
Yeah.
I was dumbfounded and showed my displeasure by being British and saying nothing, accepting I'd been played by this Git family.
I think I would have slightly slammed down the grocery separator.
The separator, you'd use that as an act of sort of passive aggression, wouldn't you?
That's as far as
You
it
know
would
what
have
I would have done?
What was that?
I would have said, I'm sorry, I didn't realise. Sorry, did you have more items? I'm sorry, I think maybe you'd... I would have gone full on past that.
Yeah, I don't know if that translates.
To the Portuguese.
No, I don't. I think there's too much nuance. You can't play that much
What would
nuance.
Zoe have done?
I would have done absolutely nothing.
Good respect.
Nothing.
It is a weekend to celebrate Britishness in all its forms.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yes, we were talking before about Faye the Baker and the cake and not being allowed on Great British Bake Off because of her connections.
You're making it sound like something of Balamori, Faye the Baker.
I think it's Free Faye. It's going to be. We're going to stand outside the what they called Love. Is that the name of the production company? I don't think we should. This is it's a sort of oppression.
But is it going to be one of those demonstrations like they have on Brookside with three people, extras with two neatly painted signs going Free Faye?
No, I can't imagine public sympathy being more fired up than someone saying that this person isn't allowed on because she works in the media. I think people will feel that was really bad form. Anyway,
the person who else.
Speaking of the Great British Bake Off, is Emily and I went to an event in Hampstead, which is an area of North London.
I'm familiar.
Liberal elite.
I'm speaking to the world.
Oh, sorry.
And
I forgot about them.
and
He's been hanging out with his mate, the Archbishop
That's what
of
the
Canterbury.
microphones are for.
That's why he said I'm listening.
yeah, I mean, you told her on air.
Weeks I've been... it's all falling into place now.
Oh, man, you've revealed your string vest stuff and everything. So anyway, we went to the Great Hampstead Bark Off, which was a dog show. And
Do you want to share some of the categories? The one that Kathy made me enter my dog into.
well, yes. So as you know, probably right. Emily has a dog called Ray, and he was entered into Mr. Hampstead.
Mr. Hampstead.
Yeah, that's going to win me a lot of friends, isn't it?
And,
Meet the winner of Mr. Hampstead.
And my dog, I entered into Miss Hampstead.
You were bold with the categories.
Well, we didn't invent the
We didn't
categories.
choose them.
Okay.
I don't make the rules.
Okay. Okay.
There was a Waggy's Tail, a Golden Oldie, and
I wasn't touching that. I was not going near that.
and
Why?
perhaps the most Hampstead
Bad for the
category
brand.
of all time, International Rescue Dog.
International Rescue
The ones
Dog.
that have been brought in from other countries.
Wow.
It was a bit stingray.
No, that International Rescue is Thunderbirds.
Oh, I'm sorry, Frank, and I trust you on this.
Anyway, I don't think I've ever been more gutted and outraged at any kind. I know I've sat through many award evenings where I didn't win, and obviously that's frustrating when you know deep down you're the funniest person on the planet. But my dog wasn't even looked at and ignored. It wasn't. The judge didn't. The judge. I want to up front it. The judge was the very talented British actor Peter Egan. And can I say this about Peter Egan? He was the judge who completely ignored my dog. I was in a play. I was in Art, the play Art, with Peter Egan.
I know you were saying that quite loudly, Frank.
Not
on the
just
day. I remember
that, but
You
I
said
wasn't
very
cast.
loud.
I wasn't cast with him. I'd been in the previous cast, and because they were in crisis because of illness to various understudies, I stepped into my part 6 weeks on. I was in Ed's Diner having a cheesy chips, and I went across and I did the part, the trooper,
Yeah.
to help,
he said
to
this
help
6
amongst
times.
other people, Peter Egan out, 22 years later, he blanks my dog.
Wow.
Is that fair?
You just don't think that's going to happen, do you? Any of that. Any
man.
of that.
I thought, we haven't had a dog long. When I went into Dog World, I thought it was going to be a fairer, more democratic place.
Yeah.
It turns out it's as seedy as those 1950s beauty contests you used to get at British holiday resorts.
Do they still have to do the swimwear round?
They didn't do that, no. But honestly, injustice, I was genuinely, and am genuinely upset.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So that's what happened to my dog.
So your dog was overlooked?
Overlooked. And
Not even overlooked.
Peter Egan wasn't the only celebrity judge, was he?
No.
There was also...
There was Gail Porter and Michelle Collins.
And a celebrity vet.
But I think it seemed to be they were there as a presence, whereas Peter Egan seemed to be properly on the floor judging.
You're absolutely right. He was very much an authority figure.
I think to respect him, he's an enormous dog lover. And
he does a lot of good work.
And he does a lot of good work. But on this day, he did bad work.
Did he do that thing where he held the tail up and supported
Well, he didn't even see the tail.
He didn't even come over.
Okay.
What else happened, Frank?
Well, I got... if you enter your dog in the competition, you get a sort of entrance goodie bag. And mine... ours included various treats and, best of all, a squeaky flip-flop.
Ooh! When you say best of all...
That'll become irritating.
No, but she's taken
I presume
to it.
it's not one you wear.
No, it's one you bite.
Oh, okay, right.
I dated a photographer many years ago, and she told me that she was working in a dart room and she had a Staffordshire Bull Terrier she was looking after, and she gave it a squeaky toy to keep it occupied while she developed some prints. And she was in the dart room and she could hear of the dog biting it, and she said after about 20 minutes she heard
Oh, no.
where he pierced it.
What about when...
Anyway, hold on.
Sorry.
Never mind what about your dog?
Oh, Ray.
So Ray, top 10 he made. Top 10.
And
And
out
I'm
of how
talking
many?
Probably 70 entrants, I would have thought.
So you're viewing it that through that sort of positive prism. I am disgusted.
I'm standing
it's disgusting.
Remember, I'm standing on the loser's pedestal.
Yes, but I went in there. I intentionally took Kathy's and Frank's dog walker, Kane, London Dog Walking Company. I'm not being paid. I just happen to think they're very good.
Can we mention Chris, who also
And
walks
Chris.
for them, and who's a big fan of the show?
I love Chris, yeah. I took Kane in. I think Kane's an attractive man. I don't think he'd be offended by me saying that. And I thought he might be an extra appeal for the judges, maybe. Didn't work. I took him in. I was pushing him forward. I was being quite pushy. To get to that final 10 was so painful. It was like losing to Germany on penalties. I felt sick.
Who was Ray beaten by?
Well,
I don't know. I couldn't even look after what happened to...
when I got to the
Adam.
final 10, though, Frank was very generous in defeat. It was very magnanimous of you, because let's face it, your dog, it was embarrassing. There was no plasmol. Frank punched the air for me. It showed you in a very good light. You punched your fist and he started videoing
No,
it.
I was
It so
waving my
adorable.
fist at Peter Egan.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So, yeah, I didn't win. Frank didn't win.
I know that feeling, though, because I have also entered my dog Groucho into a dog show in Hove a couple of years ago, and he was completely overlooked, and I was a bit aghast because I think I assumed, you don't know this because we're up in London town at the minute, but down in the West Hove to East Portslade area, I'm quite a big deal.
Oh.
And I just assumed...
Mazel tov.
Yeah. I just assumed
Yeah, you'd
that,
think
you know,
that'd be enough.
I'd get some sort of a nod,
Okay.
and nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Dear, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that. And how
Yeah.
did Groucho take it?
He wasn't happy. He's
When they made the announcement, he said, "Well, that is the worst thing I ever heard."
Did he go up to the other competitors and say any club that wants you as a member?
exactly. Yeah.
Have you
He,
had
he
any-
wrote to the Kennel Club and said that. Yeah.
Now, I wish he would.
Yeah.
Now, listen, Frank, we've had some missives through regarding the string vest.
Oh yes.
Kind of,
Have they identified any sexy string vest wearers?
well, we've had Ian J. Robinson. I'm afraid they're limited only to fetish shops these days.
No! Oh, those black ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Black string vests.
Oh, you get them around the Soho area.
Yes, you do.
I was on a silver mannequin. What's that?
Yeah.
What's that
Oh,
about? Why
yeah.
the silver?
Yeah.
Why is the silver mannequin the preserve of
who
the fetish
needs
shop?
who needs a gas mask?
I don't know. It's just handy.
But why
also,
is this? Why is are those shops associated? Why do they think the future is sexy? As you call, what do you call them, Frank? Sexy people.
yeah.
Why
Yeah.
do sexy people gravitate towards the silver mannequin?
I've never
12,
noticed
15.
that. It's a fabulous piece of observation.
It is actually.
And don't make the same mistake I did. Don't wear your sexy vest, string vest outside on a hot sunny day. You'll get terrible sunburn marks.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Awful.
Okay, I've never owned one, but that won't come as any surprise to
Well,
anyone.
imagine string vest sunburn marks.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
You look like a trellis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Linda Denigan. Geoffrey Hughes as Onslow in Keeping Up Appearances. My earlier Eddie Yates reference, just showing my age a bit there. A lot of Onslows, a lot of Rabsy Nesbitts. We've also had some Q news. When I was in the queue on Thursday,
Okay.
I met a history student whose favourite period is the Anglo-Saxons. Thought this is from Shelley Goldring. I thought it'd be a lovely friend for Frank.
Yes.
Sadly, he's not heard of you.
Oh,
I literally saw his face fall then.
yeah.
But he has now.
It's been a week of disappointments after the dog show.
I also met a lovely lady who I affectionately referred to as the American.
Oh, it's been a real community, hasn't it? The queue. I wonder if people will keep in touch. The queue
Definitely.
friends.
There'll be Christmas cards sent after this.
Yeah, how nice.
Quick string vest, bulletproof 1979, one of our regulars. An old boss of mine came to the work Christmas party in nothing but a string vest and shorts as a silent protest about not being allowed to do the DJing at the event. He left the company by mutual agreement soon afterwards.
Yes, I mean it's a silent. It's a silent protest that roars.
Yes. I am remembering that. Oh,
Yes.
I'm using that at some point.
Thank you so much for listening to us this morning. I missed it last week, and Zoe, it's always fabulous to have you here because you are fabulous.
Thank you.
So, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.